Hey there, Maureen Chiana here, founder of the Mindsight Academy, neuro coach to executives, leaders, entrepreneurs, and a neuro leadership trainer using insights from neuroscience to help you deliver results by learning to work smarter, be in control of your brain, manage yours and others' emotions, change behaviors, flourish, and exceed expectations. Welcome back to another episode of Lead to Excel podcast. I have two guests, Caroline Lyons and Blessing Enakimio. So you listen to Blessing Enakimio facilitating a discussion between the three of us about our online course titled Launch Your Startup Business. The three of us discussed the course in a bit of detail, and our focus in this episode is on branding in particular, but also looking at pricing. We discussed the structure of the course. So without saying too much, grab your drink, put your feet up and listen in.
Good afternoon, everyone who is watching or listening. My name is Blessing Enakimio, and I would like to welcome you to our conversation this afternoon on launching a business. My name is Blessing, like I said earlier, and I'll introduce you to others. I've got Caroline on here, and I've also got Maureen. Maureen, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Maureen Chiana, and I'm a neuro leadership and resilience trainer, business consultant, and also a neuro coach. And I am the CEO and owner of the Mindsight Academy, which is an online academy for leaders and organizations as a whole. So I leverage on brain science to help people work smarter and, in a sense, I say rewire their brains so that they can be more effective in everything they do, lead at a higher level, and achieve greater performance. So that's
Thank you, Maureen, for that. Caroline?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Caroline Lyons. I actually run a fintech company. But my background is in branding, and I have been a brand strategist for many years. I still work in branding as well. I have my own business called Words and Stories, and basically I listen to people, particularly startups. I listen to their words to help them tell their story. Basically ask them a series of questions that come to understand who they are, what they do, and why anybody should care. And basically discover their purpose and their authenticity and the authentic reason for why they exist. And that's what my background is in.
Thank you, Caroline. Okay, a little bit about me. I run several companies. So I'll start with one of them being Blessing by Blair, which is a luxury weddings and events outfit where we design and produce luxury wedding parties, social events for our clients. We also run corporate events, international trade and seminars, things like that. So on an international global level for national government and for individual organizations as well. On the other hand, also I do own a cake company, which is a couture cake company called Blair Couture Cakes, where we design cakes, and our main motto is always creating an edible experience for our clients. So I suppose two ends here to this conversation is one, I do run several businesses, and I have started up quite a few businesses. And also in the business of running events, there's a lot of project skills that I use. And this is what we are bringing to the table to share with everyone in this conversation, I suppose. Thank you for that introduction. I'm going to go straight to the course itself. So Maureen, would you like to tell us about this course? What is it called? What is the structure?
Right, yeah, this course is called Launch Your Startup Business. And the structure of the course is that it's for 8 weeks. And the idea is that we'll have a live session and then we'll have a self-directed online session. So it's going to kind of be alternated, but there's a week where you have 2 self-directed study areas. And the reason why I've designed it this way is really, most times you see people, courses advertised and people go on courses or you take courses, where you go, you're taught everything you need to know, and then you go, and then you're meant to then implement it. But the idea of this is that we'll keep touching base with you. So 1 week we're covering certain topics, you go away, work on it, come back the next week, and then we can actually discuss what you've done, or if you've got issues or questions, you can bring those in, and then we'll cover the topics for that day. And the self-directed areas, those are really areas that you really need to work on your own. So it's a time for you to go off and really get all the information you need to then implement. But because you're working with a cohort, you also have other people you can be interacting with at that time. So one of the things we'll also do in the days you're self-directed is also set up a space for you to actually interact with each other if you need to. And then at the end, you also then come into our leaders community where you can still keep working together as a group and then also benefit from the wider community of other people who've been in business or who are in leadership.
Okay, thank you for that, Maureen. I'm gonna talk to you, Caroline, now. When it comes to starting off a business, people often just jump in and get going, especially with social media now being so accessible to everyone. We just think as long as we have a product or a service and we can text or type, we can put something on social media and off we go, business started. There are loads of supposedly businesses out there on social media. What would you say is branding? That's the first question. Second question is, why brand your business?
Okay, that's a really interesting point. The first thing that I will be talking to the people on my part of the course, I'll be talking about is having a strategy and how important it is to actually think before you do. So I don't think with branding, we always start with, first of all, creating that strategy. It's asking a series of questions to be able to really articulate who you are, what you offer, and why anyone should care. Because if you don't know that, then you're not going to be able to get yourself out there, find the right clients that you want to promote yourself against, and make meaningful connections with people. So branding is a number of, it's not as simple as just a logo. A lot of people think to have a brand means I've just got a logo. A brand is something that's really thought about. So like I said, we start with strategy. We work out who we are, why, what we offer, why anyone should care. We work out our purpose, our reason for being, and the reason we get up in the morning. And then we look at how do we become an authentic brand that people are going to be able to communicate with and connect with. Once we've articulated that, we then move into how we communicate. What's our tone of voice? So that means that we need to think about who are we talking to? How should we talk to them? So you might be a company that's a bit quirky and a bit individual. So your tone of voice is going to be very different to a company that's going to be very business to business, speaking to financial advisors or financial directors and stuff like that. The way that you speak to someone like that compared to a more consumer facing business is going to be very different. So it's working out how to align yourself to your audience, coming up with a tone of voice, coming up with a name for your business, thinking about a name from, do I want a name that's going to say what it is that I do, like Sarah's Cake Shop, for example, versus Uber, which is a taxi service company. Uber doesn't mean anything related to the car services, but it's a very interesting name, and it's a one-worded name, so they've got a great website and everything. It means you can have uber.com and everything like that. There are just loads and loads of different things to it. So yeah, you've got your tone of voice, you've got your name, and then you start to look at, okay, how are we going to look? So this is the identity part of creating a brand, and that looks at everything from creating a logo, creating a color palette, creating all the different marketing touch points. Are you going to be an online brand, or are you going to be more, do you have a store? Looking at all the different ways that we're going to apply your identity to the different touch points that you're going to communicate with your different audience members. And all of that needs to align back to your tone of voice and to your strategy. So everything always is in alignment with each other. And once you've got your identity, which will comprise the logo, the color palette, the typeface, the different ways that we communicate it, we'll look at all the different marketing channels about where your brand needs to live. And once we've done that, then we create a go-to-market plan about how we're going to get the brand out there. And then once you've done, the last part of what I want to talk about during my part of the course will be how do you maintain engagement with your customers. And finally, the last bit is very importantly, getting paid for what you do as well. And how that whole journey, that brand journey, will go from trying to find your customer all the way through to getting paid at the end. So there's a lot of stuff with branding. It's definitely much more than a logo, I think. There's a lot to think about, and it all starts with a strategy. So I think, like from your initially asked me, people shouldn't just go out and just start up a business. You've got to really think about it. And brand strategy and branding ties into your business strategy. The two of them should marry in some way.
I like that.
Thank you for that, Caroline.
Yeah, I really like that, because it's one of the things that I see so much. People want to start a business and then they just jump in and then start a business without thinking about the branding and thinking about how they want to look, thinking about the message they want to give out. It's just a case of, I've got an idea, I'll do it. So and that's one of the reasons why I feel this course will be so beneficial to so many people, because instead of just jumping in, and then what you tend to see a lot of is people start and then suddenly they realize, oh, I need to brand. And then they then go back and start branding, not even rebranding, starting all over again. But you see, you can cut all that off by doing it right from the beginning. And I think in the process of thinking about all the things that Caroline has spoken about, it would actually help you structure your business and help give you clarity about where you're going as well.
Definitely. Absolutely, 100% agree. And that's, I think also one thing that people tend to do is they think about the branding suddenly and they're like, oh gosh, I've got to do something with my branding. Right, I'll get a designer over here to do a logo.
Absolutely.
I'll speak to this other person about doing something else. But
they nodding.
They haven't thought about it, and it has to start with a strategy, and because this is the most meaningful brands are the ones that are consistent, the ones that we believe in and we sort of go back to time and time again. They're very consistent with their messaging and their deliverables, and that creates trust. When it's like how we are with people, I think, when the reliable friends that we have, the reliable people that we know, are the ones that are consistent in the way that they deliver the most successful business people are consistent like that. So it's the same thought process needs to be thought about with your brand.
I believe truly that people buy people. People won't book me for as their event planner or as their wedding planner because my website is pretty. It's when they have that consultation with me and they're confident in my voice, in what I say, they like me, therefore they book me. Believe it, people buy people. Same thing with wedding cakes, whatever it is you're offering, people buy people. So your brand must look like you in a way. Your brand must represent you. It must have your essence. So I am all for having like you're saying, having a designer somewhere designing your logo doesn't mean that's your brand. It has to be you. It has to reflect your product or your service. So like you're saying, having a strategy on what it is you're offering, who you're offering it to, why you're offering it, will reflect strongly on what your branding is. Thank you for that, Caroline.
No problem.
Okay, next question I would like to ask Maureen. When it comes to business, you ready for this? There is a mindset that you must have if you're going to start up a business. You can't just use the same mindset you had as an employee as a business owner. It is not the same, because when you start up a business, don't forget, you don't have a HQ department somewhere. You are production manager, you are service delivery, you are HR, you are finance director, you are every department when you start up. So you need to have a specific mindset when it comes to starting up a business. Maureen, can you tell us a little bit more about the mindset?
Yeah, right. For me, this is really the foundation of a successful entrepreneur or business owner. And that's why I've put this into the first module, because without it, you struggle. And that's why a lot of times you find people starting off in business, and then a few months or a year later or so, they kind of go, I can't take it anymore. It's too much for me. Now, I think, without going into too much detail, because we don't have time, the mindset itself, what is in our brain particularly, is what determines the actions we carry out, the decisions we make, the behavior we have, the habits we have. And if you don't understand how to control your brain, when situations happen, which they will in business, because in business, things change constantly. If you are not prepared, it's so easy to get stressed, to get anxious, to get overwhelmed, but also to feel lonely. Because once you start, there's a whole bunch of emotions that will occur as things start happening. So it's so important to be able to understand, first and foremost, who am I? Why am I doing this? What do I need to know? Okay, what's actually happening? Because, and it's not a case that, what I would say is it will help you to really know what to do once those emotions kick in. Because when you start a business, fear is one of the biggest things that really grips people or stifles people or prevents people from moving. And it's a natural emotion. The reason why is because that's your brain at work that's your brain literally doing its work. And that is trying to protect you from what it does not understand. So it's really being able to have what I would call, so I don't want to even give it a term, but I call it the entrepreneur's mindset, because it's a mindset that will get you through the tough times. It's the mindset that will prevent you from, coming against an obstacle or challenge and running back or crumbling, basically. So, and this is what we're going to go into more detail in the training. And it's not a one module training. You're going to see it throughout the training, throughout the 8 weeks, and even after, because you're going to need it. Because at every stage of setting up a business and running a business, you need to have the right mindset to take you through each of these steps. Because even now that I'm in business, and I've been in business for a long time and done so much, there are times that I come against situations that I've got to stop my brain from taking off and say, no, this is what we're doing, brain. And if you don't have those tools, it will really be difficult to really to be successful as a business owner.
Thank you for that. I totally agree. I think sometimes we get carried away with whatever the project or product is, and we develop our skills in, say, for instance, I'm going to be a web designer. We develop our skills in web designing, or okay, I'm going to make cakes. You develop your skills in making cakes, but you forget that you're running a business. You need to develop your skills in business. Whether you like it or not, you have to be a master at marketing, master at sales, master at staff management, master at all of that, and everything around running a business alongside being a master of your trade. But most business owners, most entrepreneurs just get on with the skill that they need for that actual thing they're doing, and forget that they're running a business. And I think that's one of the main things that we're going to be looking at or in this program, is that when you're running a business, if it is a business and not a hobby, then you need to have a business mindset. It's very important.
And then sometimes it's you may even, like, depending on what the business is, you may even let go of being the person who actually has the skill set and be more about looking for other people who are going to do that skill for you. So you can start to bring a team together.
Yeah.
And more of a, I guess, manage a team of people and cultivate that environment, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which means letting go of the reins sometimes, but realizing that there are more, there's more benefit in having a really great team together than you trying to be that person who does everything.
To do everything, exactly. And again, if you look back in Henry Ford, he had buttons on his desk to press for whatever he needed. He didn't need to know the information, but he knew people who knew the information.
Yes.
So, like you're saying, it's being open enough to let other people in who can then help you, because you can always outsource other aspects of your business if you don't want to do it yourself. But if you're not aware that is part of the job, you're not going to do it, and you think you have to do everything yourself. So while you're busy designing and building your website yourself, you're not actually running your business. So keeping busy doesn't necessarily mean that you're being productive as a business owner. So these are things that we really need to highlight, I think, to startups, that they all look shiny on Facebook, it all looks lovely on Instagram, and everyone can write something or the other to put on LinkedIn, but what is happening underneath the water? What exactly does it take to run a business?
So we will end the part 1 here. The rest of our discussion is in the part 2 of this episode. So make sure you listen to it. Again, thank you for tuning in, and please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. And remember to leave a 5-star review for us so that other people can also find this podcast as well. And my offer to give a one-to-one session with a lucky person who has reviewed is still open. So leave a review because that lucky person might be you. So I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Bye for now.